Welcome to SETHled LED video tutorial number 1, setting up a BrightAuthor presentation. So now that you purchased your brand new SETHled LED billboard, you're going to want to be able to create presentations and load them with images that you can play on that billboard. And so you can see here that the BrightAuthor application is open and running. It should be an icon on your desktop after you've installed it. So let's just introduce some of the areas of this application. The only two tabs that you're really going to use in this application are Edit and Publish. Edit is used to create your presentation, and Publish is used to schedule your presentation and actually load it onto your BrightSign digital controller. Okay, so we're under the Edit tab, and the first thing we're going to do is create a new presentation. So I go to File, New Presentation, and I want to name that presentation. So I'm going to call that tutorial, and you can select where you want that presentation to be stored. Here I've selected a folder on my desktop and actually a subfolder. I typically recommend that you actually store all of your presentations and images on a folder on your desktop so it's easy to find, and name it something that's easy to name and remember. Here we also identify in our presentation what the BrightSign model is, and you have different models that can be installed. Here I've selected XD1030. You'll want it to ensure that you talk to your installer to make sure you understand what version you have. The connector type is HDMI, which is a digital connector. So that means that the digital signal coming out of our BrightSign is going to go straight to our billboard, and digital is high fidelity, so we want to make sure we select that. And then under screen resolution, we would select 1024 by 768 by 60p. That resolution is actually very important, and that's the only resolution that will work with your BrightSign display. And you'll see here that 60p means 60 hertz. And then finally, landscape for our monitor orientation, and no overscan. We then select Create. I want to then click on the full screen window here and press Choose. And so now I have a full screen presentation set to load images into. But before we do that, we have to do two things. We have to first go to the Edit tab under Layout, and what we're going to do is set how big our viewport is. Okay, it's actually called a zone in BrightAuthor. So I click on Layout, and once again your installer would have given you these numbers. So this display is 240 by 50 pixels. Go ahead and set that. And so now you can see your zone is set, and it's in the upper left corner of your display because that's where your SETHled billboard needs to use the pixels. Okay, so once I've clicked on that, I go back to Playlist, and the second thing I have to do is press on Zone Properties, because I'm going to tell it how I want images to be displayed in that zone. And so under View Mode, I would select Letterbox and Centered, because I want to center that image. And then I also want to ensure that it fills the entire zone. So the image mode is Scale to Fill. You can ignore all of the other settings because they're audio settings and you don't have audio on your billboard. And I press OK. And here it asks me if I want to save these properties for future presentations, which is great because it saves me a lot of time if I create new presentations. So I'll say yes, I do, and select OK. So now I have my presentation created, and my zone is set to the proper size. So all I need to do is start loading images into the presentation. And to do that, I need to select where the images are located. And so I'll go ahead and select the folder. Once again, that should be on your desktop. And it loads those images from that folder into this window here. And they can now be dragged into what is called your playlist. So this playlist is really keeping track of what images appear on your billboard at what time. So my first image, I want to be the Firestone image. So I click and drag and drop it onto that first little icon. And if I want other images to be displayed, I just drag them up. And you can see if I move to the right of that image, it'll show up here. If I move to the left and release, it'll show up on the other side of that image. So I put it there, and then I'll load this image, drag it up, and drop it. So now I have three images that are going to cycle through on my billboard. It'll start with a Dunlop, then go to Firestone, then go to Goodyear. Now I have the ability to set how long I want each one of these images to be displayed. And this setting is very important because it depends on the traffic speed that you have with your billboard, with your digital sign. I typically recommend 5 seconds, and you want to gauge that based upon the amount of text that you have, and once again what the speeds are in front of the sign. And I can select the type of effect, and so it defaults to no effect, but let's say I want it to explode from center. That means it'll zoom out on the image until it fills the entire screen. I select OK. Now I've only set the properties for that first image. If I double click on this one, you'll see that it's still the default. So I need to set it for each one of the images that I have. This one I'm going to give it a comb effect, and the last one I'm going to give it no effect. So 5 seconds and no effect. I can then select File, Save to save your presentation, and now your presentation is ready to be loaded into your scheduler. And once again, the schedule is identified here under the Publish tab. So you can see that your schedule originally defaults to all day, every day, 24 hours a day. If I click on any one of these cells and press the delete key on my keyboard, it'll delete that presentation out of the scheduler. Now to load that new presentation that I just created, you see it shows up over here in this list, and if it doesn't, you need to press the Browse button and select that folder on your desktop where you saved your presentations. Now all I need to do is drag it from here onto my scheduler and identify where I want it to start. Let's say it's 7 a.m. If I move the cursor just over to that bottom edge of that box, I can drag it down to have it stop at, let's say, 10 p.m., which is when my store closes. I can have different presentations set for different days. So here I have another one which is called Test. I can have it start on Wednesday, and I want it also to end at 10 p.m. And let's just do one more. Napa ads here and have that start on Thursday and have it end at 10 p.m. Now let's say we closed early on Friday. Let me grab this sample one. I could select that, and for some reason let's say we ended at 8 p.m. on that day. So the purpose of the scheduler is to identify what presentation plays on what days. I can't set these presentations to be repeating every week or every day. So if I double click on any one of them, and I just double clicked on that tutorial, I can select some functions here. I can have it active all day, which means that presentation would override all of the other presentations that I've set, and it would be playing every day, all day. And that these would be set to 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. But if I wanted to show up every week, so like let's say every Tuesday, I could set it as a recurring event and press weekly and have it show up every Tuesday. And so now it's going to start on 7/2. There's no end date for this presentation. And when I select OK, you can see that it's still here. But if I jump to the next week, and this is your week navigator, you can see that that presentation is also playing every week, for forever. If I press today, it'll come back to today, and you can see that I have those other ads set for this week. You can also set presentations to, let's say we want it to be daily and every day and starting on 7/2, and let's say we wanted my end day. You can press the calendar here, and let's say we wanted that to be 7/5 and press OK. Now here's giving us a warning because we already have presentations loaded here. Do I want to keep my existing events, right, and cancel the new event? Do I want to keep the existing events and adjust the new events, or do I want to remove the existing events and use this new event? And that's what I want to do. I want to override and overwrite those. So I select that and press OK, and you can now see that tutorial is playing every day. So you have an infinite number of ways to configure your schedule. And so now that we've created our schedule, I recommend that you save your schedule. And you do that under the Schedule menu up here, once you're under the Publish tab. And you can see here that if I select Save, it defaults to this auto-schedule.xml file, which is also located in my same folder. You want to make sure that your schedules are also located in that same folder that you created, and you press save. If you wanted to load a previously created schedule, you can just say open, and you can see it show here, and I select that, and it would reload that schedule. So it didn't change here since that was the same schedule. So now that we've got our schedule created, we are then going to publish it to our BrightSign controller. And now I'm not connected to a BrightSign unit here, but I'll just tell you what you would need to do, okay? All you need to do is select local network, and it will then show you all of the BrightSign controllers that you have, and you would select your BrightSign controller and press the Publish tab, Publish button. And what that does is it takes this presentation and all the images and then loads them onto your BrightSign unit. So that's the end of this tutorial. We'll provide additional tutorials to show you some of the other capabilities of your new SethLED billboard.